Thank you for the host and all the colleagues here for inviting me to talk about the BRICS 2022 summit. The summit was convened in the midst of two events. Firstly, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and secondly, Beijing's annihilation of Hong Kong autonomy, and also is increasingly hawkish attitudes towards Taiwan. The Communist Party in China is also enthusiastically but rhetorically supporting Putin's war's effort. What is interesting to note is that there are still voices, however, among the Chinese establishments and the people warning against supporting Putin. The background of this is that the CCP has been whipping up nationalism to boost its rule in the past 2 decades. However, sometimes it has consequence for the party itself, because now certain nationalists has reminded the party about Russian previous aggressions towards China, first during the Tsarist Russia, and then also followed by Stalin's. For instance, in 1860, China was forced to cede the territory of modern Vladivostok. In Chinese, it is Haishanwei, along with a big piece of land to Russia, because by that time, the Qing dynasty in China was very, very weak. The CCP has never demanded that the ceded territory be returned to China. And this has continuously annoyed the Chinese nationalists. Russia's imperialist past continues to have a bearing on the debate about relations with Russia in China. And then now, in the light of the war in Ukraine, all these previous tensions, which was swept below the carpet, will now emerge and becomes visible. It is obvious that the relationship among the BRICS itself will face more and more challenge. This is just one example. For the moment, let us return to the two recent events I just mentioned. We as peoples from the BRICS countries simply cannot evaluate the recent BRICS summits without first referring to them. I think this is what the BRICS from below means in the first place. That is, we are judging the BRICS from an independent and people's point of view. And this standpoint, I think, has been resonated in all the speakers' speeches just then. The BRICS summit declaration mentioned briefly about the war, but I think, well, literally it says it continues to commit to multilateralism through upholding international law, including the charters of the United Nations. Well, I think this is hypocritical to say the least when Russia is attacking another UN member state. And I think Hong Kong was not mentioned, of course, because it is too small. But may I say that although the size of Hong Kong is small, we should at least mention a little bit about this, because it was, I'm sorry to say that I have to use the past tense, it was the only city in mainland China which was allowed the freedom of speech and association and the development of social movement. In fact, in 2017, we were able to hold a BRICS from Below conference in Hong Kong. We collaborated with dozens of Hong Kong organizations to make this happen, including the Confederations of Trade Unions. It was because Hong Kong enjoyed autonomy. But in 2021, the CTU was crushed under the regime's threat. Beijing also has finished Hong Kong's autonomy in 2020 when it imposes its national security law on Hong Kong. It is nothing but breaking its own promise for Hong Kong autonomy. And it is with the fall of Hong Kong, China has also sunk deeper and deeper into the hole of the Orwellian state. And while the BRICS summit is was convening in China, well, no one can speak about. Speak against the Chinese Communist Party or hold a parallel BRICS from below meetings in Hong Kong anymore. Well, as when I talk about Ukraine and Hong Kong, it does not mean I single out Russia and China. I am against all forms of state repressions on people's rights, be it in anywhere of the in the world. Therefore, I'm also against NATO or its expansion towards the east. So, but surely NATO's expansion per se cannot constitute a justification for Russia's invasions of Ukraine either. I think the cases of Russia and China are dangerously alarming to the peoples of BRICS and to the whole world. And especially, I think, two things. Firstly, is the idea about nation as one people and a single whole. This was what Putin's speech talked about last year when he talks about relations between Russia and Ukraine. Actually, this is also pretty much the same idea of nation amongst the Communist Party of China's leadership. So by single whole nations, it means that yes, we as Cantonese in Hong Kong are now suffering a infringement on our language right. That Beijing is forcefully trying to replace Cantonese with Mandarins as teaching medium in the schools. So from this, you can imagine what their ideas of single whole nation is. But well, if it is just an idea, then well, we can still talk about it. We can just we can also resist it. But the problem is with the war in Ukraine and Beijing's practically, it is also a political war in Hong Kong, and in a certain sense, it is also semi-military because of the harsh police repression. So there are two wars right now, not only in Ukraine but also in Hong Kong. And I think the BRICS from below's platform can no longer just talk about economic issues like investment projects, the governance of global capitalism, and so on. Because right now there is big political issues which will define the future decades. We can no longer be silent about all these things. But of course, if anywhere in the world happen the same things, we should neither silent. So I think, and for now, as relevance to BRICS from below, I think that we need a evaluations on BRICS as a whole. And before this evaluation is done, I think we should demand to stop all new investment projects amongst the BRICS group, as long as it relates to China and Russia investment. So we need to take a cold and sober look into this issue. And finally, yes, just one issue. I think well, there is a hot war going on in Europe, and there is a big Cold War going on globally, and there have been people who calling for no Cold War. I agree with that, but on one condition. Just this no Cold War slogan alone is not enough. We need to add one more sentence, and this is very crucial, that no war on the people as well, because we all know that only governments can fight the war, literally, and the peoples. What should they do? If we only limit ourselves to the slogan of no Cold War, then it may turns out to be that the people has only one choice: either you support this government or that government. But I want all the audience here. No, even if a war is just on its own, how to conduct the war is a very crucial issue for the people, because who is going to bear all the consequences? Who is going to pay for life, for their pay with their life, pay with their livelihood, pay with their suffering? Who? It will be the people. And we all know that undemocratic governments will shift all the burdens to the people. So even a just war, we have to be we need to have a very clear people-centered position. And this is right now not just a hot war going on in Ukraine, but also there is a war on the people by nearly most of the governments in the world. And if we do not add this second sentence, no war on the people, we will be misled to supporting this or that government instead of have a people-centered peace movement. Thank you very much.